When you're trying to get pregnant, there's a list of things that healthcare providers recommend that you don't consume or consume minimally, one of which is caffeine. But how exactly does caffeine affect fertility? If you're trying to become pregnant, why should you watch your daily caffeine intake and maybe forego another cup of coffee? Importantly, what is a safe daily caffeine intake if you're trying to get pregnant? Let's explore the relationship between caffeine and fertility and what this might mean for you. So, how does caffeine consumption affect fertility? While the research is a bit all over the place, connections have been made between caffeine intake and fertility. For instance, one study found a nonlinear association between tea consumption and infertility, but no major links between coffee or caffeine consumption in general and infertility prevalence. Other research echoed that caffeine consumption via tea was linked to a slight reduction in female fertility. Meanwhile, caffeinated soda intake and energy drinks were linked to greater male infertility. But why exactly does caffeine intake have potentially negative effects on fertility? The exact reason is not yet known, but some researchers and professionals believe that caffeine intake impacts the quality of the eggs and can even impair the egg maturation process. This could make it harder to, one, get pregnant, and two, conceive a healthy baby. Now, an important note on your daily caffeine intake. Based on the available research, it seems that what's most concerning for women trying to become pregnant is high caffeine consumption. In other words, taking it to an extreme is where the risk factors are. To be fair, this can be said of many things. Will one cup of coffee in the morning affect fertility? Unless your healthcare provider tells you otherwise, the odds are slim. Now, on the other hand, if you, for example, are already sensitive to caffeine and even just one cup of joe gives you the jitters, in that case, you might be better off stopping your caffeine intake completely. Again, speak with your provider. All that said, what's a relatively safe caffeine intake that shouldn't harm your reproductive health or your pregnancy journey? So, how many caffeinated beverages can a woman have if she's trying to get pregnant? When should you call it quits? After one cup of coffee, two, five? Rather than looking at the number of drinks you consume, add up the total milligrams of caffeine in your cup of coffee or tea or whatever beverage you're drinking. The general consensus is that a healthy adult can safely have a total caffeine consumption of 400 milligrams a day. If you want to get pregnant, you should limit this to a maximum of 200 milligrams a day. So, is no caffeine better than a low caffeine intake? In a perfect world, do you eliminate your caffeine consumption completely? There's no evidence that caffeine intake in small amounts offers any benefits. However, there also isn't any data suggesting that low to moderate caffeine consumption hurts your reproductive health. So, from what we can tell, you can enjoy one or two caffeinated beverages, not exceeding 200 milligrams of caffeine total per day. To protect your reproductive health, if you want to become pregnant, your caffeine consumption should not exceed this amount. While women should limit caffeine if they're trying to conceive, we want to offer a gentle reminder that caffeine isn't the only thing that can affect fertility and your health in general. If your caffeine consumption comes in the form of energy drinks or fancy coffee confections, you're getting a lot more than caffeine. You're also likely getting excessive amounts of sugar, and in the case of energy drinks, several other ingredients that aren't healthy for anyone, let alone someone trying to become pregnant. Sure enough, some research has found that the consumption of sugar sweetened beverages was linked to reduced fertility in both men and women. There are different types of sugars, and some of them offer health benefits. In fact, your body needs sugar to function properly. However, the types you consume and how much of them matter greatly. In other words, don't attempt to eliminate sugar completely. Instead, focus on consuming quality sugar in the right amounts. If you're not sure if your sugar consumption might have an effect on your fertility, speak with your healthcare provider to determine if you need to adjust your consumption and in what ways. Whether you simply want to get ahead of your pregnancy journey or you're finding it difficult to become pregnant, a fertility tracking panel can help. eNational Testing's fertility tracking panel looks at two of the most common fertility measures. Progesterone provides insight into current fertility and what might be contributing to female infertility by assessing ovulation, for example. Anti-Mullerian hormone reflects the status of overall ovarian health and function, including the number of remaining eggs. You can use these results to better understand if you might need fertility testing or another form of lab work or support. This panel requires a blood draw, and results are available in 4 to 10 business days. Should you have any questions after receiving your test results, you can follow up with one of our knowledgeable clinicians. We have more than 2,700 locations across the nation. You can order your test online, and we even offer same-day appointments. Find a testing center near you.